been about a fortnight since the Maharashtra Haryana results, but these results have come with some kind of lessons for both the BJP and the Congress.
Issues like 370 did not have traction. It did not have traction for the simple reason the principal opponents, Bhupendra Singh Hooda and Hooda Pawar, supported the government.
There is a speculation in the Congress circles that there has been some sort of an understanding which the Gandhis have reached with Mr. Modi and Mr. Amit Shah.
The Gandhis have struck some kind of a deal with...
That's a very interesting theory.
I reject it completely out of hand.
Hello and welcome to Cover Story. Well, it's been about a fortnight since the Maharashtra Haryana results, but these results have come with some kind of lessons for both the BJP and the Congress. They were not the walkover for the BJP as was expected, so there's a lesson for political pundits also. But more importantly, what message does it have for the two main national parties, the Congress and the BJP? That is something we are going to be discussing on the Cover Story today. Joining me is Pankaj Vora, Managing Editor, Sunday Guardian; Radhika Ramaseshan, she's a Consulting Editor, Business Standard and a columnist; Shekhar, he's also a columnist. Shekhar, it was not the walkover that we were expecting. We got it, at least I got it wrong, I know that. But what is the big takeaway? Let's start with the BJP first.
No, you said about walkover. Actually, let's say for instance Haryana, somebody won the election and somebody could not win, could not come to power. But the celebration was the other end, So, of course, Maharashtra is a very confusing scene. But definitely, it underlines a major thing about politics, that nothing is permanent.
Correct.
You don't stay in power forever, neither do you stay in opposition for too long. And I think those lessons which we saw in Chhattisgarh, Madhya Pradesh and Rajasthan, how they keep repeating, you can lose or you can, shrink in terms of electoral strength. If you're overconfident, you make mistakes in managing the caste equations, and you can also make mistakes if you, try to bring in people from your rivals and to bolster your strength. And also in ticket selection, because that's also a big factor. Along with that, I think a lot of it is also got to do with the current state of the economy and distress felt at the bottom of the pyramid. So I think there's a combination of factors. So that is how it shows. You cannot assume, because all these elections, these two states, if you look at what happened in April, May of this year, just 4 months ago or 5 months ago, things have been different. And I think that has definitely shell-shocked and given hopes to the opposition. Yes. Because politics does not function in a vacuum.
Right.
There may not be a visible opposition or a viable opposition, but definitely, the democracy like India looks for an alternative. Now, the whole question is, if that alternative can gather a good narrative and appear to be a good alternative, then people are willing to consider, because nothing stays on the top forever, particularly in politics.
Nothing stays on top, but did we expect this to come crashing down so soon after the general elections?
Priya, it was not really a crash down, as you might say. It was a reversal of sorts for the BJP. All of us, including me, not just you, even I thought it's going to be a walkover, because if you go back to 2014, to the elections that were held immediately after Mr. Modi's spectacular victory, the magic sustained. This time, the BJP has to ask itself, why did the magic dissipate so early, and what were the reasons for it? To me, one is that in the case of Haryana, Sonia Gandhi showed some sagacity in bringing the old leadership together. She went in for experience. So that's a direct reflection on Rahul Gandhi's capability or lack of capability. They couldn't do it in Maharashtra simply because they haven't really cultivated new leadership after Vilas Rao Deshmukh and his predecessors were out of the scene. So, to me, the most important lesson these elections underscored was the importance of provincial leadership. In Haryana, you had Mr. Hooda. Of course, he was promoted a bit late in the day with Selja and the others. Ashok Tawar was out of the scene, but that also happened late. Had it happened a year ago or even 6-7 months ago, who knows what the results would have been. Secondly, caste is, I mean, this whole theory that the BJP gives that Modi and development and everything has subsumed caste, no. In both Haryana and Maharashtra, dominant castes asserted themselves. They wanted to show the BJP that we exist, we are alive, and do not ignore us. And if you do, you are on your peril. And as Shekhar rightly put it, you know, spiriting away people, important leaders, that didn't help in the case of Maharashtra and Satara. Udayrao J. Bhosle, I mean, who everybody said, you know, can make or break elections in that whole Satara, Kolhapur region, he lost. So, the point is that the same strategy worked in the Lok Sabha election. There again, BJP took away important leaders who won their seats. So, you know, when objective conditions are favorable to the BJP or any dominant party, then every strategy works. When that falters, then things do slip up.
On that. Your first thoughts, Pankaj?
Well, you know, it's a wake-up call for both the Congress and the BJP. Basically, if you look at the elections in Haryana and Maharashtra, you know, Haryana was a state which was dominated always by the Jats, and Maharashtra was a state which was always dominated by the Marathas. Now, BJP in both these places tried to cut off the dominant castes and try to, you know, get in their own people elected. You know, incidentally, both Khattar and Devendra Fadnavis were the two first chief ministers who were appointed after Modi came to power in 2014. So, you know, they were seen as Modi's, you know, favorites in many senses. So, you know, their performance was being watched very closely, and it was expected that they would both romp home. But if you strictly go by the norms of democracy, the mandate in Haryana was against the BJP. And had Khattar not been the chief minister, the BJP tally would have gone down to even 15. The Jats had got together, you know, in the Sirsa Hisar belt, Chautala's party, Dushyant Chautala's party did very well. And in, you know, Jhajjar, Sonipat, Rohtak, you know, it was Bhupender Hooda all the way. And had it not been Khattar, you know, got the support of the Punjabis, who also constitute a very strong, segment in Haryana. And this segment is the only segment which has been able to resist the Jats over the years. So Khattar was able to still carry on and get the BJP around 40 seats. That is one thing. Secondly, so far as the Congress is concerned, Congress candidates, whether they were in Maharashtra or in Haryana, they were contesting more as independents. They were not getting any support from, you know, the central party leadership. There was nobody to, help them. Wherever they had their own infrastructure, their own organizational network, they were able to, you know, win or put up strong fights. The result would have been very different had 5 seats more of top Congress leaders who lost, you know, had gone towards the Congress, and BJP would have got those 5 seats less. But all the same, the mandate was against the Khattar government, but they have formed the government along with JJP, which, you know, was fighting on the Jat plank and anti-Khattar sentiment. And it also shows that, you know, ultra-nationalism and anti-Pakistan sentiments have not worked in this election. So far as Maharashtra is concerned, it was Sharad Pawar who, you know, as the topmost and the tallest leader of Haryana, put up a valiant fight and put, you know, his house in order. I mean, he needed to, you know, show his influence, and he has succeeded. Congress just wilted away because, you know, there were two former chief ministers, Ashok Chavan and Prithviraj Chavan, contesting, but
there was no leadership.
There was no leadership.
Correct. Huh. Which is what, Shekhar, the Congress, if there is one lesson from the Congress side, it is that they can win elections without the Gandhis. That whole myth that, you know, you need the Gandhis as the star campaigners has exploded. Rahul did about 2 rallies in Haryana, 4 in Maharashtra. Sonia did none. Priyanka did none in UP where there were bypolls. So is this any time now, then is this the right time for the Congress to look beyond the Gandhis? Any time better than this?
No, I think that would be, I would say, too harsh comment on what has happened. Because, yes, Sonia Gandhi and Rahul Gandhi have not officially commented on the outcome in Haryana and Maharashtra. See, that's also very telling.
Correct.
Of course, Priyanka made some comments. But definitely, you know, what is coming out, like say for instance, Pankajji just mentioned about, you know, issues like 370 did not have traction. It did not have traction for the simple reason the principal opponents Bhupender Singh Hooda and Sharad Pawar supported the government. See, one lesson that comes out is on certain issues which involve, say, national security, national defense. On this, there is no point in trying to challenge the BJP. If you just enjoin them, then the issue falls, because if there is no difference of view, then that issue cannot get traction in the election. That's what happened. And in Haryana particularly, you see, it's even more telling, because after all, Haryana is a huge representation in the defense forces as well as in the paramilitary forces. But the fact that a leader like Bhupender Hooda immediately supported 370 and said it's a good decision. Similarly, Sharad Pawar was also quick. So I think, but the Congress was in convolution on 370, on Kashmir. Now these are big lessons, because I think where the family is finding it difficult is, of course, I hear that on Ayodhya, Sonia has called a meeting and tried to formulate a particular line, whatever may be the judgment from the Supreme Court by mid-November. But I think this is the problem. And second thing is, for instance, in Maharashtra, what has happened? See, Sharad Pawar faced a bigger challenge, in the sense some of his best leaders had left. And also there was a huge problem with Ajit Pawar. And within the family also. Despite that, he took it upon himself. And that picture of him campaigning in rain, stood out as the most a man of the match kind of picture, that he was always there, out at his age. Now, if you take the Congress side, what Congress could have brought to the table, Congress could have perhaps, of course, they had said that we are fighting under NCP leadership. But in terms of what Congress did for the campaign, I think left much to be desired. Therefore, you saw NCP gaining, but Congress not unable to give that push to that opposition alliance. So therefore, the Congress needs to fix its national narrative, it needs to fix its state leadership, and it must also realize that it doesn't have time as a luxury.
Yes.
Because what we have seen now is, ever since the Lok Sabha elections, there seems to be a feeling that, they have all the time in the world that they can, because in the meantime, you'll have assembly elections. And I do not think the Jharkhand will or Delhi will give a similar kind of scenario for Congress to relish.
In fact, what you mentioned is very interesting, because I was having a chat with the Aam Aadmi people and they said the same thing. The reason why Kejriwal supported the government on 370 is, he's saying, let that debate die there and let's focus Delhi on Delhi issues. Let's change the narrative. So what you're saying makes a lot of good point. The Congress strategy, what should they do?
Well, I mean, talking about the relevance or irrelevance of the Gandhis, I would still think that Sonia is very relevant to the party, whether she works as a backroom strategist or even if she campaigns. I don't think people are going to get put off like they did in 2014 and thereafter. Here, in fact, in Haryana, it was due to her effort that the warring factions came together. It was her effort which finally got Ashok Thamar out. I mean, he was a real thorn in the flesh of all the seniors. So I think she is needed to do that, to keep the house, well, I mean, in order to keep it going, even if she's not the front face of the Congress. Rahul, I would imagine, is he should be banished to the fringes. I may sound a little harsh in saying that, because he goes to Maharashtra and he talks about the Rafale and the defense deal. I mean, somewhere he doesn't seem to have his finger on the pulse even after so many years. He's been around for so many years.
In fact, he made it from Chaukidar Chor to Chaukidar Pickpocket.
Yeah, he made it, which sounds even worse than Chor. So he Modi may not have been the absolute central figure in these elections, but he still has credibility, he still has popularity. So I think Rahul got it completely wrong. Now, coming to Delhi and Jharkhand are going to be very important tests, and there I think the signs are that the Congress is quite willing to play the junior partner to the Sorens in Jharkhand, which I think is it's eminently sensible, because if you're talking about regional leaders, the Sorens are still an important counterpoint against the BJP and its allies in Jharkhand. So it should leave, and they have Hemant Soren, who's quite young and apparently quite a hit among the tribals. So I think the Congress would be well advised to play the junior partner in Jharkhand. Now in Delhi, there are stories floating around that with the appointment of Subhash Chopra, there is a chance that the Congress might align with the Aam Aadmi Party. I don't see that happening. I don't think the AAP would be in any mood to concede, because it's still going fine. I mean, you know, you talked about the way Kejriwal changed the narrative by supporting 370 and just focusing on Delhi issues. Yes, that's, I think, a great strategy from the point of view of fighting a state election. How much it helps him, whether he comes back with 60 or whatever, that's another question. But there is, Congress will have to go solo. It will have to sort out its leadership issues, just like the BJP needs to sort out its leadership issues in Delhi. So at the moment, I think Congress needs to do some serious think on Delhi.
Delhi. You are the expert on Delhi. What?
No, basically, you know, Kejriwal supporting 370 is not doing him well, doing him good. You know, the Muslim community in particular, you know, who would have supported Kejriwal against the BJP, still have not made up their mind. There is a very strong feeling amongst them that Kejriwal should not have meddled into 370 at all. And if that happens, then Kejriwal is going to be in real trouble. Because, you know, there are 7, 8 or 10 seats where Muslims play a major role. Matia Mahal, Bali Maran, you know, Sadar Bazar, Silampur, Babarpur, you know, Okla, etc., etc. Nizam, this part of New Delhi, they are all there. But these seats, you know, Kejriwal could lose votes. That is where the Congress can sense some chance and, you know, can move in and try to cash in on, you know, Kejriwal's you know, faux pas. Now, what has happened is that so far as Congress is concerned, you said that, you know, I think, you know, it's time for the Gandhis they are no longer the vote catchers. You know, we are unnecessarily giving very much credit to Sonia Gandhi. She presided over the, you know, decline of the Congress. It was 44 during her presidentship. And all her people, you know, whoever are supporting her closely are the ones who are responsible for bringing down Rahul's image. And they were the ones who, you know, basically plotted. BJP took the thing later. But it was Sonia's people who first put down Rahul. Now, Rahul is totally irrelevant.
This,
and there is a, you know, speculation in the Congress circles that there has been some sort of an understanding which the Gandhis have reached with Mr. Modi and Mr. Amit Shah. Now, the thing is that, for instance, as an example and illustration, they say that through the Haryana elections, Robert Vadra was not an issue. Priyanka Gandhi did not campaign at all. You know, she's in UP, her attempts or target is Mayawati and Akhilesh Yadav, not the BJP. And, you know, similarly in Maharashtra, Sonia Gandhi has put up leaders, you know, who were propped up like Thorat, etc., who would not have posed any challenge to BJP. So this speculation persists. Whether it is true or not, God alone knows. But within the Congress, people are, and, you know, having Ghulam Nabi Azad continue as General Secretary in charge of Haryana when 370 was an issue there. So, I mean, all these things, he's a former Chief Minister of Jammu and Kashmir. So, you know, these are things which are being talked about. What happens is irrelevant. And Sonia Gandhi did not go to Haryana, where she was to address a rally in Mahendragarh, you know.
Because she was not well.
No, she was perfectly well. As a matter of fact, you know, information in Congress circles is to be believed. She was having dinner with a media magnate and a close friend at the Hyatt Regency Hotel one night before. That is if this information is accurate. So, I mean, there's the question about her not being well is not something which is being, I mean, she couldn't have contributed. In Haryana, it was only Hooda who could have done. Hooda's, you know, I mean, this kind of blueprint had been prepared by Kamal Nath when he was General Secretary in charge of Haryana 2 years ago. And he had brought Hooda and Kumari Shailja together again, once again. It was to be implemented from 1st of October 2017. It got implemented in 2019. There was nothing Sonia had to do with it. It was you know, Kamal Nath's blueprint.
But the fact it wasn't implemented in 2017, that is also...
I mean, Rahul Gandhi kept on postponing, for instance...
You can't... Can we blame, take a break, we're going to come back and say, can we blame or this interesting political twist that Pankaj has thrown up with other Gandhis in some sort of an agreement with Prime Minister Modi? I'm a little skeptical on that one, but we're going to discuss that. And also, who is to blame? Is Rahul being sabotaged by Team Sonia? Let's talk about this after a break. Hello and welcome back to Cover Story. Well, I think Pankaj Shekhar threw up a whole lot of interesting political twists over here. Would you like to take one of them on at least? A, the fact that are the Gandhis in some sort of understanding with Modi. B, is Rahul correct when he says Sonia and people are sabotaging him?
Yeah, you see, I do agree with Pankajji, particularly, the way Rahul started out, trying to bring fresh faces and young people. Somewhere along, I think he faced a terrible resistance from the old guards, who hold their position simply to the proximity to 10 Janpath, geographically as well as, otherwise.
Politically.
So I think beyond that, and they were always out to prevent the young man. You see, after all, Rahul Gandhi, from what I understand from some of people or aides who have worked with him, they say he's different. His approach is different. He thought he can bring some freshness.
Right.
But then he was not allowed to succeed. Even this, because I remember in one of the interactions with Rahul Gandhi, which I had soon after the last elections, he was very upset that he was being blamed for the 2014 rout. And he said, I felt that I had to carry the cross, as it were, for whatever omissions, commissions done by the individual UPA ministers.
Yeah.
But then I said, you had an opportunity. Manmohan Singh at least invited you twice to join the government, but you didn't. He said that would have upset Manmohan Singh. But what Rahul Gandhi felt was throughout, even on an issue like, say, when he took up this Rafale thing, many Congress leaders were not willing to back that because they think it was the right strategy. But then they never told him earlier also it's a wrong strategy. The fact it was only left to Rahul to go on repeating that.
Right.
That is one. Number two, when he offered to step down, his intention was perhaps all those the so-called old guards will also join and resign. Nobody resigned excepting his own, one of his 8 close to him.
Right.
So, so that goes to show that within the party, if you're trying to change, doesn't happen. Now, I'll point out one more thing, Priya. Yesterday, I was seeing through Sonia Gandhi's statement on that RTI. It's full of phrases and expressions which is very dear to this, left of center people. Majoritarian, the whole idea, you are sabotaging RTA for majoritarian. Now, I can tell you something. Without commenting per se on majoritarian or minorities or whatever, you should stop using those phrases because the whole effort of the Congress should be, you are a centrist party. You are not left of the center party. So you have to do something to capture the centrist space. But what has happened right from the UPA 10 years and subsequently, I feel the Congress policies have been hijacked to the complete, sometimes bordering even on some areas close to the radical left. So that is affecting the Congress because Congress is a centrist party. Right. And they are pragmatic. But unfortunately, under the Sonia Gandhi dispensation, and to a great extent, I would say Rahul Gandhi cannot also escape responsibility. A lot of their articulations have been, which is more of a left. And sometimes, trying to please all those people who are part of that National Advisory Group.
Yeah, that's right.
See, you could have commented on RTA without bringing this much majoritarian. See, after all, you need support of the majority and everybody. See, you can articulate issues of concern to the minority without bringing this majoritarian minority. See, once you do that, you cannot fight the BJP on its turf.
Correct.
So they must remember, after all, Congress has been here for such a long time because it's always the middle of the ground. Now, what has happened is the ground is gone. You still think you are middle, but you are not in the middle.
Correct.
I think that is why I keep saying that Congress, it is easy to assume that it's about leadership, but I think it's about the Congress narrative also.
Good point. That is true.
Yeah, definitely about the narrative. Yeah, about this. I think they should go beyond this majoritarianism and minorityism. In fact, Antony had suggested this after had proposed it after the 2014 elections, and it was not really taken on with any degree of seriousness. Coming to the other point about whether the Gandhis have struck some kind of a deal with
that's a very interesting theory.
I reject it completely out of hand. Because Amit Shah did attack Rahul in his Haryana meeting
but
when
Robert
he took
Vadra?
Robert Vadra was deliberately kept away. Priyanka didn't campaign. There was no mention of Robert Vadra from the BJP. Had Priyanka, that was a strategy, you can call it. I mean, whether it really helped the Congress or whether the Congress did fairly well on the shoulders of Hooda, I cannot say. But Robert Vadra was conspicuously missing, and to infer from that Priyanka was kept away just to sort of help the BJP, I don't think that's a very fair surmise. She was kept away so that the BJP would not get an opportunity to go hammer and tongs at Vadra, who is allegedly embroiled in corruption concerning land deals in Haryana. Of course, there were past instances when Khattar did take up the cases, and suddenly, there was a kind of a deceleration in the pursuit of those cases. What happened? So these kind of speculations do arise, but to conclude, to surmise from that the BJP and the Gandhis have done a deal is a bit too far-fetched, because what is Modi's USP in within the BJP? One of the things was that he went absolutely sort of frontal in his attack against the Gandhis at a time when leaders like Sushma Swaraj, even Advani, they were ready to make their peace with the Gandhis, and when the UPA was in power, in fact, they went out of their way to sort of please the Gandhis, mollify them, reach out to them whenever they could. And that was the time when Modi spoke out against him, and that I think really worked well with the cadre. So he is seen as another person who is like willing to kind of compromise and please the Gandhis. I think he would lose one of his major USPs.
Quickly, Pankaj.
No, I don't agree with Radhika. The thing is that, if you see, there are a combination of, other, instances also. For instance, in the recently concluded parliamentary elections, Priyanka was to contest from Varanasi. That was the impression till the very end. And she cried off at the last moment.
So Congress couldn't get a strong candidate.
And, her crying off from the election, meant that the cadres who were expecting that there will be a big push to their efforts, everything died down. Before that, in 2017, when the UP elections took place, she was the one who, overruled Rahul and entered into an alliance with the Samajwadi Party. And, the Congress candidates did not contest in more than 300 seats in UP. And, some of them were even contesting on Samajwadi Party seats. So, the Congress cadres in UP and the Congress, they all shifted away towards the BJP in those seats because they could never, back either the Samajwadi Party or Mayawati, because they had been fighting with them for the last 25 years. So, there are a lot of, indications which, support this. And I can't, say for sure that this is, but this is a speculation, and there are indications that this is happening. They are happy.
Just on UP, anyone who knows UP will sort of, I think, reasonably conclude that even if Priyanka had contested from Varanasi, first of all, even Kejriwal contested with much more shosha in 2014 than Priyanka was likely to. Where did he get? Absolutely no question. Modi was out to win with a record margin from Varanasi, and it wouldn't have had an effect on, say, Jaunpur or Ghosi or anything. This election was pre-decided in favor of the BJP. There was no question. And he talked about 2017. Akhilesh's popularity had dipped to its absolute nadir. Maybe if Congress had contested on its own, it could have picked up another.
So maybe the ineptness of the Congress worked in Modi's favor, or was it a deliberate ineptness? Is something I think we're going to have another discussion on this, because Pankaj has thrown up a very interesting topic to discuss. So hopefully we'll discuss that another time. But that's it from now. Thank you for watching this show. We'll see you again same time next week.
For more such videos, subscribe to the NewsX YouTube channel, hit the bell icon.